Well, everybody kind of knows that, TV time is programming time, and that's fine because there's all different kinds of programming. So, it kind of depends on, what are you turning your channel to? Because I was always kind of big on stuff that I could learn anything. And when I mention like these shows will teach you, I kind of mean teach kind of along the lines of being taught to read. Like, just because you're taught to read doesn't mean you're an expert, doesn't mean you're good at it. But once you're taught to read, then you know how to go forth and practice and get good at it. So when I'm going to mention, like Forged in Fire will teach you how to turn, like a rusty car spring into a samurai sword. I don't mean that you're actually going to get any kind of proficiency, okay? And people get confused about that. So it will teach you. It doesn't mean you're gonna actually, have any expertise, okay? People have gotten confused about that before. We all watched, Sesame Street with teaching us, the alphabet and the ABCs and stuff. And we still had to practice, right? Probably also taught us some of our, social courtesies and manners. And, we still definitely had to practice those, right? Anyway. There's lots of other shows. There's like survival shows where they can teach you all kinds of things about surviving in the wild, about starting fires, about building shelters, about recognizing poisonous plants. And again, they're going to teach you, but you have to study to remember, right? There's also all kinds of cooking shows to teach you all kinds of stuff to cook. There's all kinds of like remodeling shows that if you're paying attention, you could probably pick up quite a bit of carpentry if you wanted. But a lot of you instead like to turn into, Family Guy, and other stupid sitcoms that have really no value other than entertainment. And that's fine, but you choose your programming, right? So, there's mainstream news. There's also, if you get on the internet and on YouTube, there's all kinds of other news. You can watch, the White House and the UN and a lot of these other organizations yourself to get the news. You don't have to really wait for it to filter through to Fox News or CBS. And I'm not going to say that they don't sometimes come up with new stuff, but I often don't have any idea where they get that. Because I'm watching the Department of War, and I'm watching the White House, and I'm not necessarily getting the intel that we're finding on the mainstream news, but that's fine. So anyway, just remember, TV time is programming time, but there's all kinds of different stuff. It doesn't have to be senseless entertainment.